the head of the only serious national organization that is no compromise on the Second Amendment, Larry Pratt, is with us about 45 after. Then I'll jam in some phone calls and get into some of our top stories. But I wanted to talk about the Second Amendment situation with Larry Pratt from gunowners.org. But first, I wanted to throw this out there. A headline, "Suffer these criminals in Oakland, don't call the cops." And the police chief said, "Give us more funding and we won't respond to burglary, theft, embezzlement, grand theft auto, extortion, embezzlement by an employee, poisoning, administering poison to someone, vandalism." And it also says sabotaging power lines. I mean, I don't know if this was an alternate dimension or something, but that dovetails with a WKYC report and others we've been talking about, where 112 deputies to 49 deputies in this Ohio county. But that deputy, that sheriff and judge there saying, buy guns, we can't protect you. And the 49 cops they're going to keep, one will be out there helping with calls. The rest are all bureaucracy and revenue generation. But out in Oakland, they're increasing anti-gun funding, wanting thumbprints to get ammo. It's just totally insane. But then we see Obama telling Senator Kyle a month ago in a meeting, and this is on record, that Senator Kyle's spoken about it, that I'm going to keep the borders open for a crisis, as the SPP documents say, to get amnesty. So this is an act of treason. I had Arizona Sheriff on Babu, and he said it does. He said, I'm in the military, I can't really say it, but it does borderline treason to openly bring down your country. Obama's blocking the oil spill relief. The Supreme Court has ruled, yes, you can have a gun if you jump through 100 hoops. Chicago's saying $500, 5 hours testing, psychological testing. Can't have the gun outside your house. So I see this as a Supreme Court ruling. You've got a right to basically turn your guns in, but some say it has, at least some effect, because it says you can't outright ban them all. So we'll talk about all that with Larry Pratt. But now we have CNN saying central banks start to abandon U.S. dollar. New York Times saying we're in a mega depression. So now they're not lying about that. But their answer is more government. And then I have the Financial Times of London, top Clinton official, only a terror attack can save Obama. That's what former top Clinton advisor and Obama advisor Robert Shapiro said. The bottom line is that Americans don't believe in their President Obama's leadership. Quote, he has to find some way between now and November of demonstrating that he is a leader who can command confidence, and short of a 9/11 event, or an Oklahoma City bombing, I can't think of how he can do that. Amazing statement. So we're all in grave danger, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Larry Pratt, good to have you with us.
And good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Let's take it piece by piece. What is your view on all over the country, police saying all the money has to go to bankers, we're bankrupt, and we're not going to protect you anymore, but you can't have a gun to protect yourself?
Well, there's the rub. It's that can't have a gun anyway, even though we're not going to do our job. What it should be is a wake-up call for all of us that we can't depend on the police. Even if they're doing everything they possibly can and want to do, they're just not going to be enough of them ever to have a cop on your shoulder. You know, the bumper sticker says, I carry a gun because a cop is too heavy. And that's, I think, what comes out of all this. And we've got to push back on our employees who have the incredible view that they can tell us we can't have a gun to protect ourselves, and tell them that either they get it figured out right or we're going to get somebody else in there.
But, I mean, what about the message that we're not going to respond to burglary, home invasions, we're not going to respond to people being poisoned when someone poisons them, we're not going to respond to extortion, we're not going to respond to sabotage? I mean, this is a green light to go absolutely ape in Oakland, California.
Well, you know, even in an anti-gun jurisdiction such as Chicago, it kind of surprised me, but the state several years ago, in fact, Obama voted on the wrong side of the measure. The state has a law that preempts what cities can do when someone uses a quote-unquote illegal gun, meaning it wasn't licensed, but of course you couldn't get a license for it anyway, and they use it in self-defense during a home invasion. The cities are prohibited from taking such an individual to court. And 3 times in the last couple of months, individuals have used handguns for self-defense. In at least one case I know, they shot and killed the invader. nothing could be done by the city. As bad as Daley wanted to bring charges, couldn't do it. And so that's one way to legislatively handle the problem, is just make it so that you can't touch us if we have done something in self-defense. And, of course, the better laws are those in Florida and Texas and some other states, the so-called castle doctrine, where your home is your castle, and they've taken the castle to mean anywhere you are. So if you're out in a parking lot and some thug is trying to rape you and you pull out a piece and blow him away, well, that was just his bad luck.
And it shows the mindset, though, of what we'd call liberal or communist jurisdictions. Did you see the case last week? I know you've been out of town, where the 82-year-old vet, the guy was robbing him, taking his trailer, tried to run over him, 2 illegal aliens. So he shot one of them, just wounding him. And then they let the illegals go, even though they pled guilty to stealing it. And they charged him with murder, not manslaughter. The old man with murder and life in prison because he defended himself. That sounds like something out of London.
Yes, it does. And I know that there's that temptation for some prosecutors, even in a state like Texas, where a situation a couple of years ago, the facts were a little different, but the thugs were running across from his neighbor's house across his property, and he blew him away. And, they spent 6 months trying to figure out if they could get a bill from a grand jury on that. And they finally dropped the charges because the Texas law is so clear that you can use lethal force if you have any reason to think your life is in danger. When you got a couple of thugs seeing you there with a shotgun cutting across your property, and a cop actually happened to see it and said, yeah, that's what happened, then that's the way it ought to be. And we'd reduce the criminal population a lot more quickly that way than having to endure years and years of appeals and trials and great cost and injustice, frankly. Justice delayed is justice denied.
Well, Larry, we know in Chicago and New York City they have the highest crime rates. The criminals all move there. It's a war zone every day. We know that common sense, but we know the globalist. We know Sarah Brady's on record saying we can't have a socialist America until we disarm the American people. We know for UNIDIR at the UN, they say the power monopoly of the state, everyone must be disarmed. State Senator Obama believed in total gun bans. The Attorney General believes in it. We know that they want our guns to enslave us, but the average moron who's scared of guns, who's domesticated, who was brought up by domesticated, gelded people, they're not really bad, they're just ignorant. And it's just like people who wouldn't let folks hunt wolves or coyotes or wildcats or alligators in, places like major cities in Florida. Now they're killing people. They're killing dogs. They're coming into yards. Now even the socialists are saying, yeah, somebody kill these alligators. Somebody kill these wildcats. They just killed my kid. Kids get killed every year because they like small prey in California. And now wildcats are all over L.A. trying to eat people. It's the same thing. They take the guns, crime rates explode, and I've seen all the statistics. We're becoming a pro-gun nation again and rediscovering why it's so important. That's got to make these social globalists, these parasites, angry that either way you cut it, we are shifting the momentum against them.
You are correct. The polls have been over the decades showing a trend in the direction of the understanding and wanting to apply the Second Amendment. And this is something that is totally inconsistent with the socialist worldview. They assume that they take charge of all, at least important decisions in our lives. And for them, an important decision evidently is what kind of food we might be allowed to eat. I don't have anything to say in behalf of junk food, but if somebody wants to do that, well, less power to them. It's okay with me. It's not my job to tell somebody what to eat. So that's the mindset of these people. They are control freaks. And getting back to your earlier point, they might, as you say, be upset about an extra wildcat in the neighborhood, but they don't have a problem so much with criminals because criminals don't operate within their gated communities. They'll be safe almost all the time from the criminal element, and so it's an easy price for them to pay because they don't have to pay the price. The elite in England hasn't had to pay the price of the rising crime rate following the confiscation of virtually all the legal guns in the country. And even though crime has multiplied, literally multiplied, The rich and famous don't ever get to see that. It may be on television, but it's never something that affects them directly, so it's no big deal.
And they use our tax money to pay for government and private security. Larry, what about the realignment? Pro-establishment Republicans and Democrats are losing every major primary. This is a major political realignment, not in parties, but for liberty. The system is panicking. Obama is in free fall. And some of his top advisors are saying Obama needs another Oklahoma City or 9/11. That's pretty creepy to hear that. What do you think Obama and his people are going to do? They're not going to give up power easily.